Hello, guys. I hope you all are doing well. This is the 29th of October, 2025. I just wanted really to talk to you about a few things in regards to BTC, a few things in regards to other things that it could look interesting for you guys to have a look at it. By the end, anything that I'm talking to you about it here, it's not really a financial advice. Um, it's just the way how exactly I do review the market, and yeah, you just don't really want to follow what exactly I'm mentioning it here. Um, First of all, I'm not really a fan of a high time frame. I still do like to approach the market in general, I would say, with some kind of a monthly, a quarterly, and a weekly um, plan. This is what usually it makes me like feel more comfortable uh, when I'm just like looking at the market. Something that I'm going to go back a little bit with it again to this kind of a formation when exactly I was talking about, like, let's say BTC um, moving all the way, like, let's say to the 123, 124 region, and then after that pulling back, coming back to take the highs, and then after that coming back to roll down, which there is still a possibility, like, let's say for it to go lower, coming back to the 98, and then to move to the upper side, and we see like if it's going to roll down or it's going to continue to the upper side. The point from here, it started mainly by having some kind of I would say, everyone is just like familiar, I would say, with the megaphone pattern. But the idea behind the megaphone pattern, it goes um, to how exactly the asset is behaving, and mainly this will be something like, let's say, that you might keep an eye on it when usually the asset, it reaches the point that you don't really expand above the previous all-time highs, and you do just like, major moves above the previous all-time highs. And this is where you might just like call it some kind of an exhaustion, sometimes of, like, let's say, lagging, like, let's say, in the move. And this is something, again, for anyone, like, let's say he's looking at BTC in general, like, let's say on a yearly basis, which is, by the way, still we do have like 2 months, like, let's say, to close the year. But it's something worth, like, let's say, keeping an eye on it, where for people that they are studying the asset in general, they would just like see that, yeah, BTC maybe this year, like, really she didn't do that much of a move, like a 60 to 70%. That's not usually the yearly candle for BTC. My point, like, let's say, from all of this, that in general, the kind of megaphone pattern, that it goes, like, let's say, in multiple kind of formations. You might just like, some kind of a price that you might form it in this kind of formation, that, as an example, one of the formations that you might get it. The second one, it might be that, yeah, you might just like, run the highs and then run the lows, like, let's say, multiple times. You really don't know, like, let's say, what exactly could be happening. Some of also, like, let's say, the formations that you might have it still, that it goes into this kind of a formation, that you might still like, form for something like this, which is like it goes more on maybe they call it, like, let's say, a falling wedge, or this kind of a formation. The whole idea from what exactly I'm talking to you about it, it's again for when exactly the asset it's gonna start with this kind of a formation. And what I really do care about at these levels, where exactly, if you're going to go back to the post that I put it for you on what exactly I was expecting from BTC to do, it's mainly when we started again, just like, lagging, and to break, like, let's say, above previous all-time highs. And again, you didn't really progress that much. And this will put you, like, let's say, in multiple scenarios here. Now, what I do prefer really to look at it at this stage, that I can't really have one bias, like, that just like, a kind of a high time frame bias to be, like, let's say, a bullish, and like, let's say, to be bearish. And that's why long time ago I told you, like, let's say, that for me, losing the 104, 106 on a weekly closing basis, then in that time I will be considering, just like that BTC can go to lower levels. And the reason behind all of this, It's the way how exactly the price is forming here. So this is, by the way, a kind of a pattern that you're gonna find it where exactly you do have a kind of a distribution that it's happening here. At the same time, at the low of, like, let's say, the pattern, you do have also an accumulation that it's also happening here. You saw a little bit of, I mean, it's different kind of a play that you get it at around these levels, because you were in a total different area and phase, like, let's say, first of all, of the cycle, and also on the chart. But this kind of price action that you do get it, like, sometimes at around, like, let's say, these highs, that, yeah, unfortunately, like, you would be just, like, considering multiple kind of plays that, till, as an example, we reach to this area. So I can just, like, let me just remove this. And I want just to show you, like, some few things that, from the moment that, as an example, we got, like, let's say, these two highs that it's formed here, and then after that we got these two lows that we formed them at around these levels. So we took the low, and if you will be going, like, let's say, on a lower time frame, you can see that we just swept, and then after that we didn't really break to the downside, which is in general in these kind of patterns that the buyers, they are not really able to break above, like, let's say, major highs, and also the sellers, they are not really able to break to the downside. There are a lot of cases that you can break to the downside, which is, I'm going to review it with you, and I'm going to show you, like, what could be happening by that time. And from there, again, like, let's say, the move, again, you come and you take the lows, and then you fail to break to the downside, you reclaim it, and then after that you might go, like, let's say, to run the highs, which is absolutely possible. Now, from here, of what exactly we formed that around these levels, we started having, multiple, like, different levels. You do have, like, let's say, you can definitely connect, like, let's say, these two lines, but you might also stick to something that it's looking more like this, that I would really like just to think about, like, different kind of lines that where exactly the asset might respond. And moving from all of this, where exactly we saw the weaknesses here, and then you came to take the lows. Now, at this stage, if any of you would remember, when I was talking about, like, let's say, these kind of plays and these kind of moves to the upper side, that we had it, and we are just, like, too aggressively moving to the upper side, that the best part for you to see it is just to see the price coming to take the lows. Now, unfortunately, we took it with a kind of liquidation candle, but again, just like you came, you retraced some of it, and then now this is where exactly you're standing. My point from all of this, that I really don't have, like, let's say, a high time frame bias. I can't really be bullish, I can't be bearish, and I'm playing it just on a weekly basis. That's the whole thing. Till at least we're gonna start November, and we're gonna start to see how exactly it's looking. Now, why I don't really, like, let's say, see it bearish at around these levels, because for me, the way how exactly the candles it's forming here, it's just still on a 2 weeks time frame candles. We are really, like, let's say, looking at these kind of formations that we are seeing it here, that you do have, like, some kind of balanced candles that we are just, like, forming it at around these levels. Balanced candles means that you move to the upper side, you move to the downside. This is more, again, it's just like with the drop that you get it here. So you're gonna take it, like, let's say, on a spot of Binance or Bybit or whatever it is. My point here, that this is just like a candle that it doesn't really have any kind of a decision whether to break to the upper side or whether to break to the downside. And if I'm going to be looking also at the monthly candle, yes, we still have 2 or 3 days, like, let's say, 2 days actually, for the monthly candle to close today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, in general 2 days. And if I'm going to be closing here, also, you don't have a decision whether to break to the upper side, you break to the downside. So I'm just, like, kind of like a neutral toward the bias that I'm having it at around these levels. That's the part. If you will be going back, like, let's say, to assets where exactly maybe you formed, like, let's say, these kind of formations. And again, this is something just for you to take it into consideration, that could this be a scenario that it's happening with BTC, and could this be like some kind of a formation that you can see it. Yeah, I mean, you saw it, like, let's say, previously on multiple assets, and as you can see, like, these kind of formations. I'll go to lower time frame so I can show it to you properly. These kind of formation, it will always be on the chart, and it might happen, like, just like 1-2 times that you take the highs, and then you drop to the downside. You still can just, like, still run, like, let's say, these levels 1, 2, 3 times, whatever it is, and then after that to come to take the loss. It's very possible. All right, till you're gonna leave this kind of a pattern, like, you just leave it. And the moment that you just leave it, you just start just moving and you start running to the upper side. Sometimes you leave it also to the downside. Don't think about it that you cannot like really leave it to the downside. You still can leave it to the downside. And we saw that, if I'm not mistaken, going back, I think to the S&P also, we formed this, but also we formed it on Tesla, where at some stage, like let's say we dropped to the downside and we started losing these lows, and you can see like in general, like let's say this kind of a formation where we formed it here, it's not like really the best kind of pattern that you get it at around these levels. But yeah, you can just like lose it, or also by the way, you can think about it in this way. So I can just like put it for you in a better kind of a formation, that the moment that you're gonna start losing these kind of lows and get the acceptance above it and struggle, then you might just like go to the downside. So this kind of pattern, it just like has multiple formations that you can just dig deeper into it, like let's say on your own. And you're gonna find that there is like let's say a lot of things that it might happen when you are just like looking at these kind of formations and these kind of patterns. My point from all of these kind of things that I'm talking to you about it is just the way how exactly the asset could form, and the way that how exactly things could just like play out, that you might not have really like let's say just like a bias, just like a full bias on these kind of a place. For me on this one, because I do have like let's say this kind of a formation from here, if I'm going to dig deeper to you, this is just like a specific lines that I do use them. And by the end, yeah, you might just like get these kind of a formation that it happens all the way, like let's say to the upper side or to the downside. Sometimes you're going to come to take the lows. Sometimes you're going to just take the lows and reject from here. Sometimes you can just like really dip to the downside. So all these kind of a formation that at some stage it could play out, you like it or no, but that's the kind of things that you might get it. And these kind of formations, yeah, it happens, and it happens on the chart. And it's not just like a kind of, I mean, some people, they're going to look at it that, oh, this is like, let's say, the max manipulation. And no, these kind of patterns, it's there for a reason, because by the end, there will be a lot of things that it's happening in regards to distribution or reaccumulation or accumulation or all these kind of things. It's just like, it makes sense that like, the price can do these kind of things. And all you need to do is just like to manage your risk and to factor for these kind of things to happen. Now, the point again, why exactly I'm talking to you about this, because for me, and where exactly we reach, could we see like let's say something like this? Could we see BTC breaking to the downside? Yeah, it's possible. Could we see also BTC breaking to the upper side and come to take the highs? It's also possible. The only thing that you really can do it at these kind um, of phases, like let's say in the market, is just really to be extremely careful. Usually, there is something that I learned it from the person that he mentored me, which is I do consider like he's literally one of the best, if not even the best in the market. And where exactly I reached today is just like it's because of, I would say, the core things that I learned it from him. Um, and yeah, Uncle, uh, uh, always um always thankful for you on all these kind of things. Now, the point from this is the price can do anything. But looking at things usually, like let's say by the end of the year, it's totally different than looking at things in the beginning of the year. Usually, like let's say to be active early in the year, early in the month, early in the week, early in the quarter, also by the way, it's just much better than expecting what could change, in the last 2 days of the month, or the last 2 weeks, 2 months, like let's say in the year. A lot of things could happen. Sometimes we are seeing like let's say major moves that it's happening by the end of the year. If you would be looking like let's say looking back, like let's say to the time on, yeah, we saw like let's say major runs that it's happening in October or in November, and then after that, yeah, you could get still these kind of things. But there will always be something that you need to take it into consideration, is really to approach the market with a decent plan that you started from the year. Take it like let's say a quarter over a quarter and a month over month, and just stop going to the part where exactly, look, everything is just looking bullish, everything is going to keep moving to the upper side. There will be times that things can go to the downside, can go to the upper side. BTC as an example, it's not moving fully aligned with Nasdaq and the S&P. Well, there is something that you need also to factor it when we are talking about these kind of things, which is one of the questions that I really liked for one of the family members that he asked about it. That if you are looking at the S&P and the Nasdaq, you're talking about like an asset that it's been there for way longer than BTC. So there is at some stage like something that we call it the asset. It's getting or it's reaching a point where exactly it's mature, and it's just like there is more adoption in it, and there's just like more a kind of call it like, let's say, institutional moves. Still, by the way, for BTC, if you are talking about like where exactly who's holding most of, like, let's say, Bitcoin, yeah, maybe have a look at it. But you're gonna find that the old, like, let's say, investors, or what we call the old OGs, that they are still the one that they are holding, like, let's say, most of the BTC in general. So still, it might, like, need more time, like, let's say, to reach a stage where exactly it's behaving fully aligned, like, let's say, with Nasdaq and the S&P. Also, you need also to take into consideration that what is exactly BTC? Is it like really, like, let's say, something that it's following the tech side, where exactly it's too volatile? Is it becoming more like a commodity, and it behaves like a commodity? Well, that's something, again, debatable, but it's something you need to think about it. It's not for me, like, let's say, to tell you what exactly BTC is. But by the end, you need just like to match it with, how the asset is moving and how it's behaving month over month and year over year, cycle over cycle. You're gonna find like that there is something that you can always, like, let's say, refer to these kind of things. That's the whole part that really I want to talk to you about it. That's the whole thing. That is just something. Again, I'm not a fan of a high time frame. There are a lot of people that you can go and you can follow and you can look at when it's coming, like, let's say, to high time frame analysis, and you're going to be extremely, by the way, happy with following them and reading, just like, let's say, what exactly they put. I can't really, like, let's say, give you more than two people to follow, or just like, to see their analysis. But I'm gonna talk about the people that I know that I'm not gonna be in kind of a trouble, like, let's say, talking about them, just for me knowing them personally. So definitely, it's Will Hunting. He's, by the way, my mentor, and again, I will always be thankful for what exactly he did with me, or what exactly he's doing. But you can always look at the high time frame analysis that he's putting it. Also, you can have a look on Timur account. He's honestly one of the best. Like, despite the fact that I don't really agree on, like, the way, not I don't agree, sorry. I don't trade the same way of how exactly he's trading. He's more of using, like, let's say, the um RSI, and just like, some total different, like, let's say, readings for the assets, but we get like fully aligned with how exactly I'm seeing things on a high time frame. So the point from here, again, going back to these kind of things, you guys can, again, like, do your own analysis, do your own research, and see how exactly things are there. And yeah, do whatever it suits you. I'm really sorry if this video was a long one. Again, be careful, as today is the FOMC, and you might just, like, just maybe take things too light or easy, or maybe don't trade at all, because your best trade will always come after the news, or maybe in the new month. Wish you all the best. Have a stellar day, and yeah, we'll catch up with you later on. Cheers. Bye bye.